Hey everyone, happy Sunday. Yet again, another mini project. This is the cheap Mastercraft tractor. I am hoping to get this project finished today, meaning put the seat back on, which is freshly repaired. Hopefully it holds out. And I'm going to be putting the cutting deck back on. 1 second. Sorry about that, I heard something hissing. I know there's no cats in here, and I thought maybe one of my tires were leaking, but they all seem to be okay, which is good. They're all four are tubed. But anyways, the plan is to hopefully get this machine buttoned up. I have an air filter on order. I may or may not change the oil again. When I got this machine, it was so low on oil, I pretty much did an oil change by putting fresh oil in it. It's not horrible, but we'll see. It only takes a liter to fill these little engines up since it's a non-overhead valve. I find with the overhead valve it takes 1 and a bit. These ones normally only take 1. But I will not be doing the oil changes till the much warmer weather, just to keep the oil preserved and keep it good. But again, this machine also has a brand new battery already in it. No, I'm not doing the rear tank conversion on this one. I don't have the parts to. Also, with a machine like this, it's not worthwhile to do that. I've also put a zip tie on the gas tank now. That was floating around. I actually was able to save that zip tie off the Landmark machine. So that machine lives on in parts, maybe a few other things. I got some ideas for it. But anyways, with this machine here, I'm just gonna let it warm up for a couple minutes, go bring the deck in, check the deck over, and proceed to putting it back together. Through the magic of videos, the seat is now installed. This is actually the original seat. I was able to do some redneck repairs like I showed in a previous video, and so far it's good. The silicone that I put all the way around the edge is holding perfectly fine. I left bungee cords on it for about 3 days, just until everything got set and nice and hard. And then I came around the edges with black Gorilla Tape and finished it off. The black Gorilla Tape really doesn't look that bad, I don't think. As long as there's really no rips in the main part of the seat, I think it will be perfectly fine. Worst case scenario, if it comes down to someone's bitching about the seat, I have a few others kicking around that I can probably stick on here, but really I don't want to have to do that. It's functional, it works, and worst case scenario, you gotta put some new Gorilla Tape around the edges, which is very easy. I did at one time have that webbing that goes around the edge, but unfortunately I was unable to find it, so I didn't bother putting it on. So obviously I couldn't. If I do end up finding it before this machine goes, I may try and stick it on. But once this Gorilla Tape's on here and how many layers I put, it's really, there's no taking it off. What I did was I went all the way around the edge with it, and then I doubled up on these corners right here, here, and on the upper corners and the front corners. And then I went all the way back around it yet again. Not in one single piece. I did it in sections. So I've also seen other people selling more high-dollar machines with Gorilla Tape on the seat. The only reason why I didn't do the John Deere this way is Gorilla Tape doesn't come in yellow, and for that one there, the seat cover worked out much better. Okay, it's now time to hang the deck for the little MTD. Just looking at the blades, really they're not horrible. They're kind of dull. I don't think I'm going to worry about them though at the moment. If I can, I might end up ordering up a new set of blades for this. We'll see. The other MTD I did actually has gator blades on it, and they're actually in really good shape. So I may end up ordering a new set for this. We'll see. But as of right now, I just want to get this deck back on, because this machine's parked on concrete anyways. It's not like it's parked on the lawn. And if we do get snow, I just want this machine to be together, and I don't want parts sitting around. I also have to reinstall a mower chute cover. I have one out in the shed. I also should have one on another deck, so I'd like to put that on here. The only one that's unfortunately missing one is the John Deere, and I don't think the Ford has one either. But the John Deere one is actually quite expensive, so I most likely will not be replacing it. But overall, this deck is in good shape. It seems like these MTD decks lasted much better in the overall scheme of plans than the 42-inch Craftsman decks ever did. I've only seen a couple of these ever rotted right out. The spindles go on these before the actual deck will go. Unfortunately, these ones are not greasable. Same with the Craftsman ones, at least on the 42s, on the older 42s, they are not greasable either. The John Deere actually has a greasable deck. This deck here was a little bit stiff, so I sprayed it with PB Blaster. Same with the 42-inch on the other Mastercraft. It's been sprayed down with PB Blaster. But this one here doesn't need any paint. I'll take a look at the top side in a second. Again, the top side's actually in good shape as well. It does have the belt guides and belt covers, which is nice. There's no major issues with this. That's the bracket. That's a factory hole. So really don't see any issues about remounting this deck and be done with it. Don't want to put any extra time into something to paint it when it's not worthwhile to do it. So it looks good where it counts. There's no major issues with it. Both back wheels are still turning really good, and they're actually in line with each other. They're not out of alignment, which is good. So I'm going to grab the chute cover. I'll put that on after the deck's in place, and we'll see how it turns out. One thing I should definitely point out, the manufacturers of these machines use a couple different methods to secure these decks. This particular deck has four points, some have 6, and some use a metal bar that goes straight across the deck, and they are definitely a bugger to get off. The other machine I have, the Mastercraft MTD, whatever you want to call it, has 6 points. So it has that metal bar that secures up into the rear end area. It also has 4 other points, 2 at the front and 2 at the back, basically adjacent to the metal bar. So something you should remember when working on these, make sure you get everything put back into place where it belongs, especially if you have a 6-point of mounting deck. At least this one here is a 4-point, so it makes it a lot simpler. This is a much newer machine compared to the other one, but the other one is a larger machine. I'm even pretty sure this also does apply to the 38s and to the 42s. I believe I've had a couple 38s in the past that used the 6-point, so they kind of shared a lot of stuff, and then they upgraded a lot of stuff at one point in time as well. Okay, the deck is back on. The only problem I ran into was this frame right here. This, on some of the models, have a metal bar going through it, and then these supports right here on the left and right are on the outside. So luckily this particular one doesn't have it. It's a 4-point mount. So if you had a 6-point mount, it'd go through this frame right here. So it's back on. It's a little bit stiff going down, but I think after some use, that should free up. Also, when I was putting it on, I misplaced one of the washers. So I was moving the machine, and this little spring came out from somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it at the moment, as long as everything operates correctly. So I really don't know what it does, or where it necessarily came off of. It may have come off the very drive, which I really hope it didn't, because that means the deck would have to come back off to try and put this back on. But I will not throw it away. I'll keep it handy. But that's pretty much it. Just a quick overview. This machine is just about done. I will test the deck out in a separate video, but hopefully you enjoyed this little mini series on putting this little Mastercraft back together. A machine that wasn't necessarily headed for a scrapyard, but with the engine problems, it was kind of close to it. The price I bought it at definitely made it worthwhile to fix this machine. If it was any more, it would not have been worthwhile. I'll talk to him later. Please shoot redneck like always, and